So in the last class, we have seen about the strings and the commenting in Python. So we have learned about two ways of commenting single line, multi-line, and how to print a string. So in this video, let us see about variables and data types. So firstly, to execute how to know what is variables, I would like to just give you an example. So let us take something like A as 10, B as 4.5, and let me take C as some string. Let it be some random ABCD. So firstly, what are these? These are nothing but some alphabets which we use to store some values, either it be an integer or a decimal or a character. So firstly, what is this A, B, C? These are the alphabets which we commonly know in English. So, but while using Python, let us conclude them as a variable. So while using Python, we should not say that A is an alphabet. We should say that A is a variable which stores some value. So variable is nothing but a container, which you can say as a container, which is used to store some value. So this is about the brief about the variable. So let us see what is a keyword. As you can see this slide here, we have few keywords listed over here. These are nothing but the permanent words which are already indulged in the Python. We cannot use these as the variables. These are already there in Python, which have a few meaning. Like if you want to use something like, I want to print a word for 10 times. For that, I need to use a loop. And if I want to use a loop, I can use for loop. So that is a simple example of one keyword. So there are many such operations which are performed by many such keywords. So these are nothing but the words which we cannot use as a variable. Suppose if you want, I can just practically do it. Let I take for is equal to 78. And if I want to print for, let me see. See, we have an invalid syntax as error. So you cannot use for as a variable. This is just about the keywords. And you need to remember all these keywords. So I have given a link in the description where you can just see about that. So these are nothing but the keywords and you can just learn them by this website. So these are about the keywords. So next thing is about the data types. So what are the data types? Over here, I have shown you that I have taken values as 10, 4.5 and ABCD. So what is 10? 10 is also value. 4.5 is also value. But what is the difference between that 10 and 4.5? So 10 is an integer and 4.5 is a floating point variable. So what is integer? What is floating point variable? It's just simple. As you can see, 10 is a number or an integer. I think you all know what is an integer. You have studied it from lower class itself. So what is a floating point variable? 4.5. 4.5 is a floating variable or a floating value. So floating value is nothing but a decimal value which we use in the Python. Not only in Python, many other languages like C, etc. We use floating point variable, which is nothing but a decimal value as a float value, and this float value is also stored in a variable. Next is ABCD. ABCD is nothing but a string. So 10 is an integer, 4.5 is a floating variable, ABCD is a string, and all these are nothing but the data types of a variable. So variable is a container which we store some value. Data type is the type of the data which we use to store it. Like either it be an integer, floating is nothing but a decimal. So floating, strings, characters, and many more. So this is the brief about the variables and data types. In next video, we'll see many things about these. Thank you.